Yo, is the world's richest man dumping Bitcoin? It's been making the rounds on Twitter. It seems like Tesla's cold storage Bitcoin has moved. 760 million dollars worth of Bitcoin has moved from Tesla's cold storage and it's gone places. And we've been trying to find out, is Elon dumping Bitcoin? Is Elon selling this Bitcoin? What is Elon doing with this Bitcoin? It seems like Max Kaiser has actually revealed what is going on. And Elon just met with one of the most well-connected men in finance who actually has said very, very positive things about Bitcoin. And also he's getting involved in El Salvador. Max and Stacy made the introduction for him to Nayib Bukele. And of course, I'm talking about Howard Lutnick. Howard Lutnick is the CEO and chairman of Cantor Fitzgerald. I also believe that Cantor Fitzgerald is the one who is managing Tesla Tether's funds as well. So also, in other news, Elon and Peter Thiel created PayPal over 20 years ago, but both of them have been in the news recently. Despite speaking very positively about Bitcoin at the Bitcoin conference in 2022, Peter Thiel's latest public interview about Bitcoin only a couple months ago said he was concerned about the fact that he believes that BlackRock potentially has co-opted Bitcoin. Now we have the other PayPal founder. Of course, I'm talking about Elon potentially selling his Bitcoin right before Tesla's earnings call on the 23rd of next week. You're going to have to stick around to see the billionaire's mystery. We're going to try to get to the bottom of it today. So before we start the show, I do want to bring up our guests for today. And of course, my legendary co-host. We have Anant. Anant is part of Bitcoin Keeper. And we have my legendary co-host, who's always optimistic. We have the one and only Optimus Field. So let's get to the bottom of this. What is going on? So massive movement on chain from Tesla's wallet. Tesla moved another $275 million worth of Bitcoin to new wallets. Tesla has now moved $760 million worth of Bitcoin today. For anyone who doesn't know, because I think MicroStrategy and Marathon and all these public miners are the ones that get the lion's share of the attention. The reality is that Tesla is the fourth largest holder of Bitcoin in terms of public companies. They hold 9,720 Bitcoin. So there's been a lot of rumors and speculations making the rounds. First, of course, you have British Hodl, very well known and popular content creator. He says, researching this Tesla move, 500 million of Bitcoin used over the last 30 minutes. I think Elon Musk is about to start buying Bitcoin again. That's what British Hodl is speculating. But I think we might have gotten to the bottom of it. I think we might have discovered what is actually going on. And let's put the pieces together, shall we? So here's Howard Lutnick. Howard Lutnick, like I said, is the CEO and chairman of Cantor Fitzgerald. Cantor Fitzgerald is a very well-respected traditional financial firm. Like I said, they're involved in El Salvador. They had meetings with Nayib Bukele. Howard Lutnick actually spoke very positively about Bitcoin. I have a clip of that just now. Let's check it out.
Clear view of where Bitcoin is going over the next 5 years is take a look at the last 5. Right? The last 5, Bitcoin has been an outsider in the finance business, but coming closer and closer and closer. Right now, there's an ETF just starting to go a little bit mainstream, maybe a toe in the water of mainstream, but banks still can't clear it. Banks still can't transact in it. Banks still can't custodian it. Banks still won't transact in it, and they won't finance it yet. I think people misunderstand traditional financial service companies. They want to transact in Bitcoin. They want new asset classes to transact in. That's just a good thing, but they need the regulator to say it's okay. Right now, today, right? If a bank were to hold your Bitcoin, they would have to set aside their own money equal to that amount in sort of like in a jail. I mean, you'd say, well, that's crazy. And the answer is, that's why they don't hold it. But if you let them hold it, if the regulatory environment was good, you will see all the traditional financial service companies, the big banks, the big brokerage companies, they're all going to go headfirst into Bitcoin pond. That's
So, and he's talking about the regulatory environment. So, this is something that we've been talking about over the last couple of months. This is why we've been making the case that the upcoming election that is coming up in less than 1 month, of course, Trump versus Kamala Harris is going to be so impactful. And you hear Howard Lutnick jumping into the Elon train. We know that Elon has publicly supported Trump. Trump is a very big supporter of the industry. I know he's a little bit of a shitcoiner, but he has gone out publicly to make the case that he will protect the right to self custody. He will free Ross Ulbricht. He will protect Bitcoin miners, right? Creating a positive regulatory environment for what Howard was describing to happen, right? Where banks don't fear holding Bitcoin because of some potential regulatory blowback that could happen if we have another 4 years of the current regulatory environment. And I think that could potentially happen with a potential Kamala administration. Anyways, so here's Howard Lutnick, and you have to dive into the details. The devil's in the details at the end of the day. So welcome to Doge. Now, what he's referencing is this is Elon's kind of troll, but essentially it's the Government Efficiency Committee. So it's not referencing the cryptocurrency, it's referencing this thing that Trump and Elon have come to terms to, where the size of government is big and it's having consequences on society. And he wants to remove a lot of red tape, and he wants to make a government more efficient, aka shrinking the size of government, right? And it seems like Howard Lutnick is jumping on the train. And here he is not only tagging Elon, but also tagging Donald Trump. Now, in regards to Elon and Trump, of course, Elon has publicly endorsed Trump. He did a record speech in the place where Trump was almost assassinated in Pennsylvania, and Trump, Elon went on stage with a MAGA hat, and he says, "I'm dark MAGA," because it's a black MAGA hat and whatever. And he also started the America PAC, where Elon Musk has donated $75 million to getting Trump elected. And again, all of this is connected, right? Bitcoiners, I think fundamentally, as libertarians, as people that are sovereign, we want the size of government to shrink. We have a little bit of a different take on this. We believe that the best way to do this forever is to separate money from state. I think all of this is good, but I think these are half measures, because all it takes is another election and another administration to come back in and turn back on the money printers and grow the size of government once again. But it's definitely a step in the right direction. Now, here's the smoking gun. Here's Max Keiser. Again, Max Keiser was heavily involved connecting Howard Lutnick with Nayib Bukele of El Salvador. And here is Max Keiser saying what Elon was doing with that $760 million worth of Bitcoin that was moved last night. So here's a post by Bitcoin Archive. Again, it's covering what we're covering. Tesla moved $760 million worth of Bitcoin to an unknown wallet last night, according to Max Keiser. And again, Max Keiser is close to Howard Lutnick. He says that Elon is depositing it at Howard's new Bitcoin bank, and he'll use it as collateral to borrow, which is interesting, this collateral aspect, because this is something that we've heard Saylor talk about many, many, many times. That he's done a lot of legacy media interviews, and you always see the reporters or the anchors asking Saylor this question, like, when are you going to sell? And Saylor's is like, sell to what? Why would I sell the best asset on the face of the planet when I can just borrow against it? So I find that really interesting. And it kind of makes sense why Howard Lutnick would make a video advocating for the change in the regulatory environment so that banks could custody Bitcoin. Now it all comes together. You just have to put the pieces together, right? And it makes sense as to why Howard Lutnick would be backing Elon and would be backing Trump for this potential upcoming administration, which again is going to be very, very positive for the industry from a regulatory perspective. So overall, Elon is not selling this Bitcoin. Tesla's not selling their Bitcoin. According to Max Keiser, what they're doing is that they're moving the Bitcoin from Tesla's cold storage to apparently Howard Lutnick's new Bitcoin bank to collateralize that Bitcoin to get a cash loan in the process. And who knows, they might be using that cash loan to buy even more Bitcoin. I don't recommend that. That's called margin. But, hey, we are going into a bull market. And I think, a lot of people want to get more Bitcoin. That's kind of the reality. So anyways, breaking that down, there's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of rumors about whether Elon was selling, what was going on with that Bitcoin. Tremendous amount of Bitcoin moving on chain. Of course, this is Bitcoin, so it's a public ledger. Everyone could see the Bitcoin moving. And according to Max Keiser, and I trust him on this because I know he has a very close connection to Howard, Elon's moving it to Howard's bank. And I showed you guys a picture of Elon and Howard together just 2 days ago. So I think if you put the pieces together, it makes a very clear picture. But of course, none of this is confirmed as of yet. This is speculation. But I do find this quite interesting. And something else to keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, Tesla is the fourth largest holder of Bitcoin on the public company level. In terms of public companies that are very well known, Tesla is number one in terms of Bitcoin holdings. And also, I believe SpaceX is holding Bitcoin as well. That same SpaceX that literally just landed a rocket. It wasn't even landed. It was like catching a rocket, like Mechzilla catching a rocket out of the air is freaking crazy. Anyways, so very, very, we did a lot of research putting this together for you guys because I think a lot of people were speculating about whether as to Elon was selling Bitcoin or not. I think this is a very solid case. Opti, what do you think? I mean, all the info is there, man. The pictures are there. Doge is mentioned, which is Elon's government efficiency committee or whatever. Of course, it's an open ledger. You have Max Keiser, who has a really close relationship with Howard, confirming that no, that he's not selling it. He's just transferring it to Howard's bank. We have a video of Howard confirming that he's bullish on banks adopting Bitcoin. I mean, it's not a total confirmation, but if you put the pieces together, I'm pretty sure it's heading in that direction. Anyways, I just called you Elon. Opti, what are your thoughts on all this, brother?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest signal of this is that if he was selling it, I'm sure that coin would be hitting a known exchange address, and we're not really seeing that happen. And considering that he is this close to Howard Lutnick, and we've seen that Trump has gone, for lack of better terms, full crypto on this. I don't think that he is going to sell that Bitcoin. I really like the troll that he was trying to consolidate his UTXOs, but obviously that's the troll. I think we saw that happen with Coinbase. At least that's what the rumor mills were saying. But yeah, I think when you kind of put it all together, it's most likely going to Howard Lutnick's new Bitcoin bank. And, like Howard Lutnick is also on the Trump transition team if he does get elected. And considering that we are seeing a lot of pro Bitcoin / pro crypto talk coming out of the Republican camp, aka the Trump camp right now, I don't think he's selling his Bitcoin. And also, it would be a very dumb move right now, considering that it looks like Bitcoin is about to start making its run into the next leg of the bull run. So I'm on the camp that he's most likely taking that Bitcoin, sending it to a Bitcoin bank to get some collateral, get some loans out on his Bitcoin. And it is also interesting, though, Tesla, it's pretty well capitalized right now. And so I wonder what he needs that extra cash. What else is he trying to do? Maybe he needs a little more fun so that he can create some other cool stuff. He just dropped basically the iRobot future that terrifies me. But, he's still doing the Neuralink stuff. So, hey, Elon seems to be making some moves, but I don't think it's the moves that people on Twitter are thinking it is. Like, I don't think he's selling his Bitcoin. It's most likely going to Howard Lutnick's new bank.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Opti is just jealous that the name of the robot is Optimus.
No,
And
I'm terrified about
and
this
Opti's
transhumanist
name
future and robots. It scares me.
and
Okay.
Opti's name is Optimus, so Opti's getting jealous because Opti might get replaced by Optimus.
No, a robot could not replace me. That that's not going to happen.
Anyways, we do have our guest for today. He's from Bitcoin Keeper. Anant, are we speculating too much? Are we putting pieces together that are not quite there? What's your take on all this? I mean, Max Kaiser pretty much confirmed it. They do have a picture together. You have Howard Lutnick making that professionally produced video talking about the next 5 years in Bitcoin. We know that a Counter Fitzgerald has been working with Tether. Tether holds a tremendous amount of assets. So, these parties are all talking to each other. And of course, we know how Trump feels about the overall Bitcoin industry and how he plans to treat the industry if he gets elected in less than 30 days. What's your take on that?
So, Nico, I'm obviously I don't know as many details as you pointed out, and I think you did a good job of trying to put the puzzle pieces together. But one of the things would be that we could just look at the market, and market has some good intelligence. Some people would say that market is smarter than you, and if the Bitcoin price is going up when these transactions are happening, it only points towards that he's moving the coins, he's not selling them. And if you believe the rumors, he's actually moving those coins to a multi-sig wallet on Bitcoin Keeper. And yeah, but jokes apart, I think he's definitely not selling them. If you
Yeah,
if you
uh,
trust the market.
absolutely. I agree. We're at 68K. We're on the verge. I agree with Opti. I agree with you guys. We're on the verge of, I think, the next leg of the bull run. I think Q4 is going to be great. And historically speaking, Bitcoin tends to perform very, very well after the
In the
the
last.
US election. Uh, me and Opti going back and forth. Guys, stay
And
tuned for the quote.
also,
Go ahead.
yeah, and also we know that Michael Saylor did mention that he has been like talking to him. So I'm sure he has been orange pilled slowly, hopefully, and now he sees the difference between a Doge and a Bitcoin.
100%.
So
And
yeah.
guys, so stay tuned also for the culture segment. We're going to talk about Bitcoin Keeper, makes multi-sig incredibly easy. So we're going to talk about all that. But before we jump into the numbers, I do want to give a very special shout out to Simply Bitcoin's lead sponsor, Bitcoin Well. Bitcoin Well is the best place to build your automatic self-custody Bitcoin stack. Buy real Bitcoin, enable your independence with the fastest and safest way to buy Bitcoin in Canada and the USA. To get started, you put in your email address. Takes 2 to 5 minutes to get verified. It's a clear 1% spread. It's Bitcoin only. And most importantly, what makes Bitcoin Well different than all the other Bitcoin only on ramps, it is completely non custodial. What does that mean? That means that when you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, as soon as the funds clear, it goes straight to your self custody Bitcoin wallet address, which perfectly aligns with the Simply Bitcoin ethos of the separation of money and state. By the way, when you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, you can earn Bitcoin Well points, and you could use those points towards the Bitcoin Wishing Well contest. So we're going to do one for you guys right now. We're going to toss a coin into the Wishing Well. Get your Lightning wallets ready. First person to scan the QR code wins 500 sats. Every time you toss a coin into the Wishing Well, you have an opportunity to win up to 1 million sats. If you use promo code SimplyBTC, again, SimplyBTC, to sign up to bitcoinwell.com today, you get 3 tosses into the Bitcoin Wishing Well absolutely free. So check out bitcoinwell.com today. Support self-custody by default Bitcoin on-ramps. All right, everybody, let's hit the numbers. We have lots to talk about. All right, everybody, I want to tell you guys about our sponsor, Stamp Seed. Usually when you buy yourself a hardware wallet, it comes with a piece of paper and you're meant down to write your seed words on that piece of paper. Problem is that paper is prone to water damage, fire damage, your dog could eat it. That's not the right way of storing your generational wealth. You literally want to stamp your generational wealth onto a plate of titanium letter by letter. And that's exactly what the stamp seed kit will allow you to do. It comes with a hammer, it comes with the anvil, it comes with the letter stamping tools. So you can literally stamp your seed letter by letter in the privacy of your own home. Let's just say with a hammer and a letter stamping tool, bomb, 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 bomb. And that is going to stand the test of time. So they put a blowtorch to this thing. They put it in a pit of fire. They put it in salt water. The data survived. This is the proper way to store your generational wealth. Head over to stampseed.com today. Use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off. Don't write your seed words on paper. Stamp them on titanium. Get yourself a Stamp Seed Titanium free seed phrase storage kit today. Promo code SIMPLY. At the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is $67,560. Sats per dollar, 1,480. Block height, 865,926. Realized monetary inflation continuing to take fiat currencies to absolute school, 1.29%. Market cap, 1.34 trillion. Bitcoin versus gold's market cap, 7.19%. Money supply, 19,768,305 BTC. The amount of Bitcoin issued is 94.13% of the supply. Anyways, our boy, Dylan LeClair, moving up. And he had an excellent video with the suit and everything. Joined, I believe the anchor's name is Charles Payne from Fox Business. And he was talking about MicroStrategy's stock outperforming the rest of the S&P 500 and how that is the biggest story in corporate finance. Now, the reason that this is so consequential, ladies and gentlemen, is again, MicroStrategy is outperforming every other stock on the S&P 500, including NVIDIA. NVIDIA's stock went through the freaking moon because of the AI boom, right? 3 years ago, you could have never have imagined that ChatGPT or any of these things would be possible. Now you can make them create images. They're editing videos now. I don't know if you guys use ChatGPT. It's freaking amazing. You could ask it anything. You could even allow it to talk. You could talk to it. It's insane. But regardless of that, and of course, that dramatically increased the demand for GPUs, right? Or for AI specific computing. And that's exactly what NVIDIA does. So despite this huge AI boom, MicroStrategy's Bitcoin strategy still outperformed the rest of the S&P 500. I can't emphasize enough how huge that is. Why? Because not every public company has the capability to produce GPUs. That's highly complex. But every public company has the ability to buy Bitcoin. Therefore, they could start benefiting from transitioning to a Bitcoin standard. And I'm telling you, for any individual that has transitioned to a Bitcoin standard or nation state, you will start feeling the effects. And the effects are simple. All of a sudden, even if you're allocating 1 to 5 to 10% of your portfolio, that 1 to 5 to 10% of your portfolio, excuse me, specifically if you're using it to replace traditional currencies or currency equivalents, is not only going to outperform the fiat equivalent, but it's also going to give you a competitive advantage. Because if you're Apple and you're holding, $500 million of cash equivalents, you're losing a percentage of that every single year because of inflation, because of the loss of purchasing power. Now comes Bitcoin. And even if you don't want to pull a Michael Saylor and go full maxi, even if you put 5% of your cash equivalent treasuries into Bitcoin, it's still going to outperform any other company that hasn't done that. And this is what Michael Saylor has proved. And I believe that this is why Dylan LeClair is making the case that this is the biggest story in corporate finance. Anyways, let's check out the clip. Here we go.
Dylan, first of all, it's been a while. Great seeing you, my man.
Great seeing you too, Charles. Happy to be here.
Yeah, let's talk about this because Larry Fink, he is like, they say when people become believers, when they're non-believers and they become believers, they become staunch believers. Like he's bought into this big time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the reality here is that Bitcoin, it's $1.5 trillion today. This is this is a $100 trillion idea. This is a $100 trillion technology. Money itself is the biggest total addressable market in the world. And bonds, stocks, real estate have all sort of been monetized in a world where the dollar, the euro, the yen can't work as a store of value. So Bitcoin, Wall Street is starting to understand that this is not just a speculative asset to punt around. This is something that should be in every core portfolio, in every retirement account, in every pension, in every young investor's portfolio, in every corporate balance sheet. So this is still early days for Bitcoin, and it's great to see people like Larry Fink waking up.
Yeah, let's talk about that corporate side of it. We're going to put up a chart of MicroStrategies since the adoption of Bitcoin in August of 2020. It's been an absolute monster. And every time I see it go up, I think about Michael Saylor and the slings and arrows that he took. You say, though, that now the whole corporate finance part of the story is the biggest part of the story, and that very few understand it. So help us understand this part that Michael Saylor picked up early on, but still so few don't know or understand.
Well, I have to give you credit, and you've had Michael on a few times and have done a great job covering the story over the years. So big props there. But yeah, on MicroStrategy, right? This MicroStrategy and the Bitcoin strategy they adopted in August of 2020 has outperformed 500 out of 500 S&P 500 stocks since that time, right? It's outperformed everything on the planet, including NVIDIA, right? So this is the biggest story in corporate finance, how a $1 billion NASDAQ business intelligence company just changed their unit of account and has become a $36 billion market cap in 4 years, right? And so this idea that dilution is the scariest thing in the world, Saylor and MicroStrategy's playbook flipping it on its head, where shareholders cheer every time new stock is issued, new convertible debt is issued to buy additional Bitcoin. It started as a defensive, protective strategy to hedge against the COVID stimulus, and has since turned into an offensive strategy where Bitcoin and the volatility that so many people for so many years said was something to avoid at all costs. MicroStrategy and Saylor are leveraging that volatility to their advantage, right? They have the lowest cost of capital out of anybody on the planet, borrowing billions of dollars for 82 basis points, right? So this is really not understood. It's still early days, remarkably so, and I think Saylor and MicroStrategy continue chugging on from here.
So great. Dylan just killing it. And I just want to mention a couple things. So I'm not the only one that says in the video, number one. Number two, I think he said stonks. So that's absolutely hilarious, man. That's awesome. No, but just laying out the facts, laying out the truth. The proof of work speaks for itself. It's undeniable at this point. This is what we've been saying. It's undeniable. If you adopt a Bitcoin strategy as an individual, as a company, as a nation state, you have a competitive advantage over everyone else. You're using a better unit of account. While everyone is in this fiat churn of their money constantly losing purchasing power, or a part of their assets losing purchasing power due to irresponsible fiscal policy by governments, you're protected. In fact, if you're a maxi like me and Opti, and I'm assuming Anant is as well, and you have a sizable percentage of your net worth in Bitcoin, you are feeling the benefits. Everything in life is getting cheaper for you. Housing, food, whatever, everything is just getting progressively cheaper. Everything goes to zero against Bitcoin, right? That's Max Kaiser's quote, and it's absolutely true. Anyways, Opti, you've been making so much fun of me for saying the video wrong. But there you go, bro. National TV. But Dylan absolutely killed it. And man, so glad to see him succeed the way he's succeeded. Opti and I, we go back in the day, just remember Bitcoin kindergarten and the heights to where we've all reached in our careers, and it's great to see Dylan just speaking at the heights of legacy media. So great to see Dylan, and kudos to him for that. Anyways, Opti, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, first off, I do want to give a big shout out to Dylan. I love the kid. He's killing it right now. And it's incredible to see him on, Fox News talking to Charles Payne. As much as I troll Dylan, it's wonderful to see him being brought up on television as an expert. I still think of him as my little Zoomer friend out here, but he's killing it. So love to see it. But yeah, I mean, he absolutely, and also, hey Dylan, if you're listening, it's NVIDIA, bro. Like, don't normalize saying this word wrong because Nico says it either. Like, this is not how you do this. Anyways, jokes aside. what Dylan is saying, and of course, what Michael Saylor has shown to the world, the masterclass that he's put on the corporate level in regards to adopting Bitcoin is slowly but surely being adopted and noticed by everyone else. And again, using some Saylorisms here, everyone that is aware of what's going on understand that you can't save in fiat. Treasury bills and bonds aren't the safe, the risk off asset that most people thought it was. It's becoming a detriment to your company to be holding bonds because you need to hold something else. A lot of news has been coming out this year of countries and corporations trying to move away from bonds, trying to move away from US government debt. And I think we are starting to hit a crescendo here where they might get dropped really quick. And by they, I mean government debt, US debt, treasury bonds out here. They might start to get dropped at an incredible speed moving into 2025 as Bitcoin starts to pump. And it really is insane to me that all Saylor had to do is just buy a bunch of Bitcoin and he's literally outperforming everyone else on the stock market, which is it's nuts. And of course, we've all kind of experienced this on a personal level. We say it all the time. This is why we always talk and tell you guys that all you need to do is hodl. Like literally all you have to do is buy Bitcoin, save in Bitcoin, and sit on your hands and continue to improve your cash flows, make sure that you're a productive human, and you're going to outperform the best traders on Wall Street. You're going to outperform all these asset managers. And it's literally the simplest strategy ever. It's almost too simple. And this is why I think people kind of overcomplicate things because we're so used to all this financial trickery. But now we have examples everywhere, whether it's on the nation state level, on the corporate level, on the individual level, which of course, as Bitcoiners, we've seen this play out for a long time on the individual level. All you need to do is be saving in Bitcoin. And this is how you can protect yourself. This is how you can escape the great fiat apocalypse that we find ourselves on. Again, we don't know how long this is going to play out. They can probably kick the can down the road a lot longer in the fiat games than even all of us are aware. They're going to do whatever they can to continue and perpetuate the dollar. I mean, we got a clip yesterday of Trump basically saying, like, if you're trying to drop the dollar, like, we're going to penalize you. And then we're seeing that everyone is actively looking to drop the dollar right now. And as someone in America, obviously, I think the U.S. should adopt Bitcoin. I want the U.S. to maintain its superpower place in the world because I want to see America do well. And it's upon the people in power to adopt Bitcoin. And now we're seeing it's happening on, of course, again, corporate level, the individual level, the nation state level. And it's really simple. Like, you need to have some Bitcoin if you want to ensure and protect yourself from the fiat Titanic collapsing, which it seems to be doing. It seems like the empire is losing its hold on money right now. And the only protection you have is, of course, simply Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Nico, you're
1 million%. Guys, if you guys are enjoying the show so far, make sure to smash that like button. Help us break 100 likes within the first hour of the show. I'm going to pass it to Anant. Anant, what's your take on all this?
So the Michael Saylor Microstrategy story, going from 1 billion to a $36 billion company within the span of 4 years, is simply incredible. And I'm quite happy to witness the whole journey through. I'm quite happy that I was into Bitcoin before Michael Saylor, and more importantly, I was able to witness him giving an interview that Bitcoin is a waste of time, probably something on those lines, way before he was orange pilled. He goes on, reads the Bitcoin standard, and then he starts thinking about melting ice cubes, and he applies all the astrophysics and everything that he has learned as a rocket scientist, and he just like goes full on maxi mode. So it's just amazing, not just from a numbers point of view, but if you just see his conviction growing every single day, and how he is rallying the cyber hornets, is just it's just mind-boggling. You may or may not agree to everything he says, which is completely okay. Bitcoiners are not the most agreeable, and it would have been weird if he was if you agree to everything he says. But nevertheless, it's just an amazing story, and the clip we just saw, it just kind of links the actually the first and the second clip. What Dylan is saying is that MicroStrategy is growing so fast. In fact, people who are taking on the convertible notes or shares are paying up to 2 to 3 times more than the Bitcoin spot price. So why are they doing that? Probably they know that Bitcoin at a future date, in a medium term future date, has a value of 3 times that it has today. But just that they cannot put their money directly into the spot market. So when the banks actually are able to make that happen, which was the part of the first clip, then you could just simply see the price 3x overnight. We don't know, but it's very interesting to see people coming together, and a lot of people changing their tone, and becoming maxis like Michael Saylor.
100%, 100%, man. And vindication for him too. He was getting so much heat
Absolutely.
when he was, Bitcoin dropped to 16K, and MicroStrategy's average buy price was the 30K, and he just held
Hmm.
strong, and now he's vindicated, and what, he's 2x'd his initial position. And I think the best is yet to come. Super, super exciting, and it's just inevitable for other companies to follow in the footsteps of MicroStrategy because it's obvious, right? Anyways,
Yeah.
guys, stay tuned. We still have the rest of the show for you guys. Tons of content lined up. We're going to talk about Elizabeth Warren. She had a debate with another senator from her state, and she's backed away from the political rhetoric in terms of the quote unquote anti crypto army. I wonder why. It's not like that was going to be a very popular talking point. So we have clips for you guys. We're going to talk about it. We're going to discuss it. And of course, during the culture segment, we're going to talk about Bitcoin Keeper as well. So guys, stay tuned. Let's hit the news. Here we go. Special shout out to our sponsor, Compass Mining. They make Bitcoin mining accessible to everyone, from beginners to experienced investors. Their turnkey miners gets you online and hashing within 48 hours, making it easier than ever to start your mining journey. Plus, with their active marketplace, you can resell your miner at any time, adding flexibility and value to your investment. Visit their website to access a wealth of resources, learning everything you need to know about Bitcoin mining. Take your first step into the world of Bitcoin mining with confidence. Discover more at compassmining.io. Again, compassmining.io, and see how Compass Mining can power your success. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Foundation. It's self-custody done right. They built a premium grade hardware wallet called Passport right here in the US, and it integrates seamlessly with their free app called Envoy. Passport is fully open source and verifiable. It's the most intuitive Bitcoin wallet design with a UX reminiscent of a classic feature phone, so you'll know how to navigate it and use it the moment you pick it up. It's also air-gapped, meaning Bitcoin stays offline, never touching an internet connection. It's Bitcoin only, open source verifiable, air-gap security model, gorgeous design craft, premium grade materials. Get your Bitcoin off exchanges and into your own hands in just a few minutes with Passport at foundation.xyz/simply. Get peace of mind for your piece of Bitcoin. All right, Opti, could you please model the Passport by Foundation devices? It does not come with Opti, but if you use promo code SIMPLY, you'll get a discount. It's incredibly easy to use. It's very intuitive. This is the perfect gift to give to somebody that you want them to have the benefits of self-custody, but without sacrificing the convenience. That's what the Passport is for. So get yourself a Passport by Foundation devices today. And again, use promo code SIMPLY to get yourself a small discount. Anyways, guys, so here's Elizabeth Warren. And she, for some reason, thought this was a good idea. I thought it was a terrible idea. Like from a political strategy standpoint, the vast majority of young people hold Bitcoin, right? Or a form of crypto. And a huge part of the voting demographic for the Democratic Party are young people. So to go out and literally just say, hey, I'm building an anti crypto army, I think is a horrific idea. And we're seeing a little bit of a backtrack. So yesterday there was a debate because Elizabeth Warren is running for re-election this year. If you are from the state of Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren is on the ballot this year, and she is running against a Republican who is being funded by parts of our industry as well. And he just called out her BS yesterday. So I have a clip of that. Let's check it out.
Senator Warren says she wants to build a, quote, anti-crypto army to rein in what she calls crypto's threat to financial stability, consumer protection, climate, and national security. You have criticized her and federal authorities for what you claim is overly aggressive regulation of crypto. What's the right balance? 1 minute.
Well, listen, I want everyone to know, when I found Bitcoin, I thought of my mom, because my mom was on welfare and food stamps, and she couldn't keep a bank account because she couldn't keep the minimum balance, and the bank would hit her with the predatory fees, and we needed that money. And then she had to go to the check cashing stores that you see in the hood, and they would charge her a fee. My mom would beg them, please, can you take less so that we have the money for food? And then when I went to college and I would send her money from college, I used Western Union, and Western Union would take 15%, and it made a difference. So when Bitcoin came, I was like, great, you could cut out the predatory banks and the middlemen and the MoneyGrams and Western Unions, and you could help unbanked people like my mom. But the better question here is for Senator Warren. With illegal immigration bankrupting this state, with inflation pricing regular people out of economy, with a debt crisis where 40% of the people don't have $500 in case of an emergency, with foreign wars taking place, why did this senator wake up one day and say, with all that, I'm going to build an anti-crypto army because crypto's so important to her? That's a question that she needs to answer.
Thank you. Senator, 1 minute.
So look, I'm fine. People want to buy and sell crypto. That's great. I just want to make sure that crypto has to follow the same rules as every bank, every stockbroker, every credit union, and that is some consumer protection laws and some laws to make sure that it's not open for terrorists and drug traffickers and human traffickers in Iran. So that's what I want. But I want to be really clear about what's really at issue here. And that is, who are you going to represent in Washington? There's one candidate standing here who gets 90% of the funding to keep their campaign going from one industry, the crypto industry. One candidate who has said quite openly that his personal worth is 80% tied up in crypto. Look, people of Massachusetts know me. You know I fight for everybody, fight for working people. If John Deaton has a chance to go to Washington, his crypto buddies are going to want a return on their investment. He's going to be there to fight for crypto.
Rebuttal.
Senator Warren never lets the truth get in the way. If you actually look what I did,
sold.
I've upset more crypto billionaires because I did her job. She sits on the banking committee. I exposed all this regulatory capture by former SEC chair, by the way, appointed by Donald Trump, and Bill Hinman, appointed by Donald Trump's administration. There was an IG report. I'm responsible for a lot of that, of these conflicts. So I've upset more of the crypto billionaires than anyone. The largest crypto fund blocks me on social media. But here's the thing, her bill bans Bitcoin self-custody in America, yet she's allowing the banks to custody Bitcoin. Another example that Senator Warren's policies do not help poor people. They do not help the working class. She favors the accredited investor rule. That excludes 85% of the American population. Her policies absolutely hurt poor people. And I got in this race to give poor people an actual voice.
Amen. Amen. Look, if you are against Bitcoin, you are against the working class. You are against the working class. You're against the average everyday man trying to get ahead. Because if you have your money in a bank, the candidate Deaton mentioned it. You get charged that management fee every month. You get ravaged by inflation. So if you're against quote unquote Bitcoin, you're against that. And Elizabeth Warren backtracking a little bit, coward. I did not like that. That's not what you said, Elizabeth Warren. You said you went out of your way to use your friends at the Wall Street Journal to make the case that Bitcoin was being used to launder money for Hamas. And then it was only after all the pressure that all the Bitcoiners made on Bitcoin Twitter that made the head of the FinCEN in congressional testimony admit that the vast majority of illicit finance to fund terrorism is coming from the traditional financial system. There is news that we covered earlier on the week where a bank, TD Bank, was fined billions of dollars for facilitating money laundering. When our industry does the same thing, quote unquote, we get thrown in a box, right? That literally our people go to prison. They get a fine. So Elizabeth Warren is for the big banks. Elizabeth Warren is not for the people anymore. Elizabeth Warren is not for the middle class anymore. If you're against Bitcoin, you are by definition against the working man. By definition, you're against the middle class. And Elizabeth Warren does not represent the middle class. Elizabeth Warren protects the special interests of these big banks. And that's what that candidate was exposing. Elizabeth Warren is a fraud, and I hope she gets elected out of office because I honestly, like, she's a threat to the American people. She's a threat to the movement, to the Bitcoin movement. And she's being insincere in her messaging. Like, it's very clear. It's a giant picture, anti-crypto army. You want to destroy the industry. You want to ban self-custody. That's what you're saying. And now that you're backtracking because you're on live TV and you know that a lot of people don't connect with that, you're kind of walking it back and you're kind of dodging and weaving. That's not cool. That's not cool. Elizabeth Warren is a fraud. She has to get elected out. And I hope she does. Anyways, Opti, what's your take on all this?
Well, first, the first part is me kind of trolling because I thought it was a little ironic that John Deaton basically. Am I better? John Deaton basically started with like, I grew up in a middle class family. So I first of all, I thought that was kind of funny. The second part of this was, I mean, the main point of Elizabeth Warren's rebuttal there was essentially saying that she wants to, now, of course, rolling it back, she wants the same rules to apply to crypto as everything else. And we've been covering this on the show all year long. It seems like there's a double standard in regards to the Bitcoin industry and traditional banks. I mean, the big news story with the TD Bank, we got Samurai Wallet Debs arrested. We got the Tornado Cash guys arrested when TD Bank just got a fine. So obviously there isn't one rule set here, and it's not how Elizabeth Warren is saying this. It's a double standard here, because I think she knows, and I'm sure, I think we've covered this in the past. Like, I think it's becoming very obvious, at least to me, maybe it's just because I got my Bitcoin lenses on, that Elizabeth Warren is working for the big bank. She, built her reputation, her platform on this idea of fighting the big banks. And now it seems like she is in the pocket of the big banks. And one of the main interesting things that she said, not only was she kind of, doing the same thing that like Bitcoin is used for terrorism, but she kind of is going towards this line of like, quote unquote, big crypto. And we saw Mark Cuban do the very same thing yesterday, or was it? I think it was yesterday, essentially saying the same thing, but in regards to Trump. And so you're seeing that this is a new narrative coming out right now that like, oh, I'm here to, run on a platform for all Americans, and he's here to just be a pro crypto candidate. And while she was saying that, all that stuff, I'm like, wait, like, I'm already sold on him. Like, quit selling me on him even more, Elizabeth Warren. This sounds like a good guy. I think we need more Bitcoiners in power. So I just find it interesting that this is a new narrative coming out right now that like, oh, you're not going to, make fair rules for everyone. You're just going to lobby for big crypto or big Bitcoin industry. And, that's your main voter base, and all of your assets are in Bitcoin. I'm like, this sounds like a good guy here. Like, I don't know. Are you trying to sell me on this guy more, Elizabeth Warren? Because we know where you stand. And it's just very interesting to me that they continue to kind of roll the same narratives out, and especially things are getting a little more heated. And obviously, as a Bitcoiner, we are more favorable towards John Deaton, considering that Elizabeth Warren's been really, really adamant and trying to fight the Bitcoin or crypto industry. So yeah, I'm like, I don't know. This sounds like a good guy to me. I'm sold on him. Although I'm not in Massachusetts, so I don't really have a horse in the race here. But yeah, I would like to see more Bitcoin candidates go up and start talking about the fact that they're all in on Bitcoin. And further, I forget what the number is, but it's like what 50 million Americans hold Bitcoin or have touched Bitcoin. So that's a pretty significant portion of the population here. So, hey, we are a part of this conversation. We are citizens of this nation. And if you're fighting us, usually elections are kind of won on slim margins. You're going to lose now if you continue to fight Bitcoiners. So, hey, FYI for everyone out there that's going to continue to fight Bitcoin.
100%. Anant, what's your take on all this, man?
So Nico, where I come from, I simply don't pay attention to these things honestly, and I kind of like, so if you hear that guy John, as soon as the question was asked, he went to his talking points, right? He was not really addressing the issues. He was just going for the sound bites and for stuff which would get him more popularity votes. Okay, my mom was this, and I come from here, and this and that. That had nothing to do with crypto, and I'm very sure Bitcoin really did not help his mom either. But he was just saying all those things to win more sympathy. Having said that, I am sure he is still a way better candidate than Elizabeth Warren, who is, we, at least from what I've understood, is kind of completely against everything crypto, including Bitcoin, and more importantly, including self custody, right? And if she really wants to have the same standards, she should have the same standards for banks as they have for crypto, right? Why not? So if you are getting caught for laundering money in Bitcoin crypto, then you should go in jail, even when that happens with HSBC or every bank, every other bank that it happens with. But no one goes to jail for that. Where is the standardization there? Where is the same rule applies in that situation? So these are all very yeah, it's just nonsense, honestly. I just don't pay attention. I just prefer to build and use my energy there.
This the
Yeah,
way.
it's
Hopefully something comes good out of it. I'm sure they're good people. They're people who really get it, and something good comes out of it. But where I am and where my skills lie, I pay less attention to this and focus on building more stuff.
exactly. Building is definitely the way. Anyways, everybody, stay tuned for the culture segment. We're going to talk to Anant about Bitcoin Keeper. So stay tuned. Here we go. All right, everybody. I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, the Orange Pill app. Stack friends who stack sats. The Orange Pill app is the Bitcoin social layer. Join the 12,233 Bitcoiners that are currently on the app. It's a great resource to connect with fellow Bitcoiners, has a really cool geographical feature. So if you're traveling, you're on the go, let's say you're in a new city for a Bitcoin conference and you don't know anyone around you, the Orange Pill app is for you. You pull it up and it will literally show you the Bitcoiners that are near you. You can send them a message directly. It's one of the best ways to contact me. Don't really answer emails or Twitter DMs these days. You want to ask me a question, send me a message on the Orange Pill app. What are you waiting for? Scan the QR code, check the link in the video/podcast description, download the Orange Pill app, stack friends who stack sats. All right, everybody, let's pull up Anant. Let's talk to him. So Anant, you are part of Bitcoin Keeper. Bitcoin Keeper makes, the way that I interpret it, I've been looking at this, it makes multi-sig easy to use, right? Multi-sig, I would say, specifically for people that are just getting into custody, could be a little bit daunting. And it seems like you guys have made it incredibly easy, and you guys are offering multiple services, whether that's 2 of 3 or 3 of 5. And it seems like you have concierge and inheritance supporting as well. So I think these are all incredibly important things. I think as a Bitcoiner, you go through different levels and different parts when you go down the rabbit hole. Initially, you run into the, okay, I'm going to take self custody, and then you're like, wait, this is on 1 sig. Maybe I'm gonna take self custody and add the 25th word, and then I think the very end is I'm gonna take self custody with a multi sig, geographically separating my seed words. So anyways, could you give a quick elevator pitch on what is the Bitcoin Keeper and who's it for or not?
Absolutely. So Uh, so multisig series, Nico, the multisig capability that Bitcoin natively offers and a lot of blockchains don't, is really a superpower. It allows you a way where it's like a joint account, but where you can have the keys completely separated out, completely disconnected from the online world, as well as completely disconnected from each other. So if you really look at the security guarantees it offers you, it is quite unique. However, it does come with some additional steps and some additional things that the user has to take care of. So as a company, our job is to provide a complete comprehensive package where you can manage your keys very easily. And that essentially comes with, whether you want to do a single sig, whether you want to do a simple 2 of 3 multisig, where one of the keys is on your mobile device itself, one of the keys is on our server, and you have one other hardware wallet. So you don't really need 3 hardware wallets. We give a lot of options within the app in terms of what you can use as a key, but essentially the choice is with the user. If they really understand what kind of security do they want, what kind of inheritance setup do they want, you will find all the answers in the Keeper app. So that is essentially Keeper app. Instead of talking more about it, I would just encourage the audience to just download it, give it a try, give us some feedback, and on X, you can just follow us and look at our latest updates. But we have been working hard. We've been working for almost close to a year now, and it's simply an awesome product that I'm sure most of the Bitcoiners will love.
So let's walk through for people that are perhaps not familiar with how these collaborative custody multi-sig wallets work, right? So whether it's a 2 of 3 or 3 of 5, right? The user holds, if it's a 2 of 3, I'm assuming they hold 2 out of the 3 keys. And then if it's a 3 of 5, I'm assuming they hold 1 out of the 5 keys. Is that correct?
No, actually, so Keeper is a completely open tool. What that really means is that the user decides who holds what, right? And so it's not like a fixed module that you have to hold just this or that. And on top of that, they do not have to trust us with a key. They can have a 2 of 3 and maybe have one of the keys held by one of their friends and 2 of the keys held by themselves. Or if they trust an Uncle Jim, then we don't want to come in the way. They can simply have Uncle Jim hold one of the keys, one with one partner and one with another partner, any kind of combination they want. So it gives you a really an open platform where you can really set up the security like the way you want. And we do encourage people not to. So for example, Keeper doesn't need you to create an account, right? It's a self custody tool. We do not want to know who you are. There are apps out there where you have to go and create an account. We don't encourage that. We do not want to get your email address, phone number, any of the details, right? So it's essentially a software tool which gives you really powerful and simple to use features where you can do a multisig the way you want. For example, there are a lot of users who do a 2 of 3 or 3 of 5. They are the most common templates in a multisig situation, and they generally like to go with people who they want to go with. They may leave one of the keys on our server, but that's about it. And even the key that you leave at let's say you have a 3 of 5 setup and you have one of the key on our server, which we call as a signing server. It is simply that you need to authenticate yourself with a Google Authenticator app. So you do not have to call us up and give your passport and do a KYC for us to sign a transaction. As long as you have that authenticator app, you can get a signature from the signing server. So it's a quite a Bitcoin way of building things. And it is making self custody even interesting and smart and sophisticated self custody as easy as it can be, so that a lot of politicians and a lot of politicians or governments or goons, if they want to get their hands on your Bitcoin, Keeper just makes it way more difficult.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. That's it's the Bitcoin ethos is hardwired
Yeah.
into the way that you guys have developed your product, and that's absolutely awesome. So, I have a couple questions for you. So, there's also different services that you guys offer in terms of inheritance planning and concierge. So, let's start with inheritance planning. What is inheritance planning, and what services? Because it is a pretty difficult problem to tackle, right? So essentially, for anyone who doesn't know, what happens, for example, if you pass away for, it's just unexpected. You don't know what's your next of kin, like how are they going to inherit that Bitcoin? And that's exactly what you guys seem like you are trying to tackle that problem. So how have you guys approached that?
So inheritance is a very very interesting, interesting case study, but it's also something that most of the Bitcoiners will have to answer at a certain point in time. They might want to go for no inheritance plan, but if they want to go for it, what does inheritance really mean? So if you really look at the inheritance concept, it is not just having access to the keys. Yeah, that's the most important piece, where your heir or the person you're bequeathing your wealth to has the access to the keys. But if they do not have the title to those keys, then probably what if someone else claims it? What if they have access to it, and the other sibling or someone else comes along and they say, what, this guy might have access to it, but it actually belongs to me. And then they get into a unnecessarily legal battle and complications. So the way we have approached inheritance in Bitcoin Keeper is us around taking care of both the aspects. Taking care of the access aspects, where you make the keys more accessible for your heir or whoever is the beneficiary, and at the same time we provide some documents and templates which you can use to ensure that the title of those keys is properly passed on to whoever you want. So that's essentially how Bitcoin Keeper approaches inheritance. And again, if you try it out, if you look at the tools that it offers, it will make a lot more sense.
Let's talk about the concierge. So you guys offer a concierge service as well. So I'm assuming that is for people that perhaps they're new to this. They don't know how to set anything up. Perhaps it's a little bit intimidating to them. You guys offer a service where it helps you walk people through either inheritance or setting up the variety of multi-sig options that the Bitcoin Keeper app allows them to do. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. First, I'm just going to look at some comments, and yes, it's completely open source. All our apps are open source, not just the Android app, but even the iOS app and the desktop companion app is open source. And yeah, so coming to the concierge question, concierge. So when we were building this tool, and it was getting really interesting in terms of the variety of things you can do with a multi-sig and inheritance, and how you want to manage the keys. um, for example, we have a feature called Canary Wallet. Now Canary Wallet allows you to keep some, a little bit of funds in some of your keys, such that, let's say you have a 2 of 3 or a 3 of 5, you would probably keep $100 or $200 in, as a canary fund in each of the keys. And if someone really gets hold of those keys and they try to withdraw or take away those many dollars, that's the first thing they would do. They would just like to use those seed words or the hardware wallet if they can crack it, and try to see what's in there. And if they find those sats in there and they take them away, that's kind of an global alarm for you, that one of your keys have been compromised out of the 5 keys, and you can quickly change it around. So what I'm trying to come to is that you can do some really amazing things with multiple keys, and it's finally a piece of code, so you can really do some nice things with it. Having said that, when we were building features, it became quite apparent to us that just building features is not enough. Having so many features also means that user might need a helping hand, user might need a white glove service, they might need a technical support, they might need troubleshooting at different points of time in their journey. And it's completely user dependent where they are, how much technical they are, how much time they are ready to spend. So that's why we launched Keeper Concierge service. It's essentially a chat based interface, which will potentially lead into a call or a video chat if you really want to go that far. But essentially, we have launched it in beta right now. But the whole purpose, like I explained, is to handhold the users who need help in setting up their their security scheme or their vault, however they want to set it up. We try to make sure that we do not hold any of the keys, or try to look at what the user is doing, or have any kind of privacy interference with the user. But at the same time, there are a lot of opportunities where you provide troubleshooting or technical support, or just being there to answer some basic questions. Okay, is this hardware better or that hardware better? What are the trade-offs between the two? Should I go for a 2 of 3 multisig or 3 of 5? What does it really mean? What do you mean by this particular feature, and so on? So that's essentially Keeper Concierge, which we are building right now, and I think it would be a very powerful plugin to the whole Bitcoin Keeper platform.
Awesome. So we are getting to the top of the show. Not there's currently 1,500 people watching live between YouTube and X, and of course, people watching on Rumble and Nostr as well. If you have any final messages, final thoughts for them, what would they be?
No, I just say, like, help me build a better product, and try to use that and give us feedback. We have a Telegram group of a lot of people who come in there, help us out, test our beta releases, and that's about it. That's what I would leave your audience with. By the way, it was an amazing show as well. So I really loved being on it. So thanks for that too.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Guys, this was Simply Bitcoin Live for October 16, 2024. I'm your host, Nico, streaming live from Paris. And of course, my legendary co-host, Optimus Fields, and our guest for today, Anant from Bitcoin Keeper. Go check out Bitcoin Keeper at Bitcoinkeeper.app. They make Bitcoin multi-sig incredibly easy to use. In my opinion, you got to use multi-sig. It's like you go down the path of self-custody and eventually you run into multi-sig. And I'm so glad that these guys are just making it easy to use without sacrificing the security aspect of it. Anyways, guys, if you guys enjoyed the show, make sure to smash that like button, consider subscribing, and of course, we'll see you tomorrow for a brand new episode of Simply Bitcoin Live.
To you by Bitcoinwell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.